Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I want to talk to you about the role of rocks. Now, this is really going to seem abstract at first when you think about it. But I think in fishing, rocks play a much more important role than you might imagine. And this sort of came to me to talk about this because I was watching a TV show put on by Mark Zona this weekend, and he was talking about rocks. And he, with all the wonderful camera gears and so forth that these big moneyed organizations have to be able to show you stuff, you really get to see the role that rocks play in a fish's environment. And I can't tell you how important I really think this is. And here's the funny thing. Not all rocks are created equal. And Mark was talking about you could be in a bay and they had all kinds of shots coming from up above down into the water, and you could see right to the bottom. And the fish will select a certain rock, something about the shape, the location, the indentation around it, something about it. They look at it and say, that's where I want to live. And they do. They come to live around this rock. And if you can find those rocks, all rock is structure. We talk about the role of structure, whether it's down trees and branches or indentations under the bank or a dock that gives cover so that the fish aren't in the direct sunlight. Structure is a place that they orient for protection. But rocks, oh my gosh, rocks become their home. And they know exactly where that rock is. They'll return to it. You know, I've seen this in fishing the Grass River, and I've talked to you about it before. But when I'm fishing the Grass River, I'm at my own pace, which is, I've often referred to it as like a blue heron. I fish very slowly, and I'm watching and looking. And one of the things I look for is a rock in the water that's going to become the home of the fish. Now, a lot of times I don't know until I actually experience and try all the different rocks. And I find that this one looks just like others around, and yet they pick this one. And it's really become what I orient towards when I go fishing in these tributaries, is finding certain rocks. Now, salmon, for example, Atlantic salmon, which we don't really have in our streams anymore. I guess hundreds of years ago we did. But Atlantic salmon will orient themselves upstream of a rock. In other words, right at the top of a rock. That doesn't make sense because rocks provide sort of protection from the strong current and other things. And so other species will be just on the opposite, on the downside of a rock. But those rocks serve as certain purposes for these fish. Now, I've gone on a lot about rocks, but I got to tell you, if you can start looking at things this way. Now, rock piles, of course, that's always a structure that fishermen for years have looked to. Rock piles, it's a break in the norm. Remember, 90% of the fish are going to be found in 10% of the water. But boy, I'll tell you what, if you can figure out why a rock holds a fish and then return to that rock time after time after time, even if you catch a fish there, another fish is going to move in almost instantly because they know that's where they want to live. They just haven't been allowed to because the other fish had dominance and had taken that area. But other fish will move in there. I think it's not only interesting, but I'll tell you what, it's one of the best things that you can look for to help you catch more fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.